Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2, with the greatest player of all time, and the red the finisher. It's Serral, up against the Protoss that we don't deserve, but the one we need right now. The smiling assassin. It's herO. A best of 3 Protoss versus Zerg showdown. The absolute best we could ever ask for. But I'll ask for just one more thing, which is to smash that like button, and maybe even subscribe to convince the algorithm you like it too. But, Jimmy, what are we... Quickly! 1,510 likes on this video on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways. I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. herO starting with a Stargate, not rocking the boat here on Abyssal Reef to start. And Serral, you probably already know he's going for a 3-hatch and pumping out the queens. But Protoss versus... Why is there a stalker here? Never mind. Well, herO just wanders a stalker across the map. I take it back. The boat is at least a little shaky right now, as herO is stalking the Overlord, which unlikely to kill it, but everyone and their mother decides to go for a adept first. But herO over here, chasing down overlords on both sides of the map after a recall back in towards the main. So, to start things off, herO already mixing it up, trying to deny as much scouting information as possible. And a Void Ray behind an Oracle, which is an entirely different style. Usually you go with the Void Ray first to deny information, but a Void Ray second, I don't know what this means. And I'm not sure Serral will be expecting it either, but the first Oracle comes across. He's not going to find too much of a contest. The queens, I'm sure, will be in position to deflect. Spore Crawler's finishing up. He didn't use energy recharge, but still had enough energy to do a little bit of his own self-cleaning on those creep tumors. But a Void Ray second, which I imagine he still wants to kill overlords with it, and an Oracle afterwards, so a Void Ray sandwich, if you would. I don't think the Protoss would. They wouldn't even know what a sandwich is, as they don't have mouths to enjoy them, but... And the Zergling saw it, because Serral's Zerglings see everything. And what they don't, then the Overlords will eventually. Zergling coming in. There's a Zergling scattered throughout, because he knows everything else might end up being a target. But the Queen's already in position. Might be able to take out one of these Overlords, lights it up. And Brenda, get over here! What? Well, it's a bit late now. I know. Sorry. Another Overlord gonna go down, and Serral's diligence on spreading out those Ovies throughout the map. I think he truly... If you make a Void Ray first, Serral's pulling back the Overlords to the creep, where the Queens can actually protect them. But now he takes out 2. So far, Serral has lost 3 Overlords. And now, clearing the creep with the Void Ray as well? herO. This is a different but very recognizable style of Protoss. Did he get an energy recharge on one of those Oracles? Well, now he has 2 of them, and he's coming in towards the mineral line. That Spore Crawler, dangerous. Kills a couple drones. Serral's still at 61. This has all been a bit of a speed bump in terms of Serral's economy. He's still built up. He's got 3 bases. He's got a Hydra Den first on the way. I think he's suspicious of a transition directly into Sky Toss, and Hydras are not bad against Blink Stalkers outright. The Shady Bunch headed in towards the natural. Better late than never here. Clearly intending on hitting this off-tempo timing. 4 drones, 5. The Oracles have to stand by. There are just too many queens to deal with this. But the time is bought. And that is clearly what herO is angling for, as he's got a Templar Archives on the way behind. The main base will be fully scouted. A second Spore Crawler is on the way. Serral, being run around by the Oracles, the Void Ray. There's Blink Stalkers on the way out. Sure, a Hydra Den is done, but Serral's almost supply blocked. He's got a couple of Ovies on the way, but the Blink Stalkers, well, they're not Blink Stalkers yet, which makes them vulnerable. But tucked up against the edge of the cliff, the Zerglings are not going to be able to get any sort of surface area on them. And back on the other side, he sees that herO is mining gas. He sees he wants to take a 4th base. Has a good bead on the trajectory of herO's build now. He knows the Blink Stalkers are not all in, but he still has to respect them, because they could do a inordinate amount of damage and then get out pretty much for free, as they're trying to do now. Without Hydras and Zerglings, +1 is about to complete as herO growing that tech. And so far, Serral's been on the back foot across the board. The losses, certainly mostly superficial, but it's adding up. And behind it, herO has a clear plan for how to progress. One thing that's very notable, not a single robotics facility. He's just going for mass gateways. He's using the oracles for detection and control. And a queen will be assassinated. The Zergling's trying to run around, but wait, there's more stasis. And with the oracles overhead, even a little bit of energy catches 2 unlucky stalkers. But that's a bit of a consolation prize overall. Already a hive is on the way for Serral. Adding a couple more. He's at 82 drones and counting. Despite everything, his economy still in a very comfortable position. Void Ray, oracles. Now I think he's overstaying his welcome. And he wasn't welcome at all. So, Psystorm done at exactly this moment. Oracle goes down. herO may be wandering a bit far forward. Unclear. Hydras don't have speed. You can tell by the way they are. Isn't that neat? But now Serral chasing down the Templar and the surviving Stalkers. But herO will be able to hold for now. Serral has plenty of economy. At 86 drones, you got fully saturated 4 bases and counting. He has no obligation to really build any more. It's just about the units. Very notably, no Lurker Den is on the way. So very likely he just wants to go Vipers right off the bat and hammer herO before he can max out. And herO's at only 120 supply. Just lost another Oracle. And he can't lose any more. Well, actually, he doesn't have any. His detection limited. And without the oracles for revelation and stasis, it's a lot riskier to be moving out on the field with this sort of unit composition. The Zergling count is pretty damn high out of Serral's got 55 of them out there. So that number about to be whittled down. Honestly, trading 20 for a Templar is probably worth it. 2 Lurker Dens on the way, which I'm gonna say is a genius move out of Serral, worthy of clickbait, and not that he totally forgot to build the Lurker Den alongside the Hive. Serral would never do that. I think he totally did. Because the only point of the Hive, he's not even getting any other Hive tech, so that's actually a mistake. But not having the Lurkers in time, but here come the Hydras and Lings. The Storms washing over. Not too bad for now, but the Hydra's wading through it. So far, the Blink Stalkers are no competition, and Serral is cutting down. Charge lots are heading to the front lines. And overall, a bit of a Pyrrhic victory. Lost a lot of Hydras. Will pick off an Archon. The Stalker's still going to work. The Zealot's drawing a lot of fire. But I'd say a tie in this sort of composition goes to herO, as he has a better set of units to fall back on because Serral's Lurkers are so delayed. But now Lurker range and adaptive talents and adrenal glands all on the way simultaneously. So for the next minute and a half, right up until about the 11:30 mark, Serral has to defend. But after that, the Lurkers can come rampaging across and slicing through. But for now, herO still has the initiative. +2 ground weapons for herO. Just +1 missile attack, now +2 for Serral. The creep has been pushed back almost to the hatcheries. herO's done a great job of keeping control of it, even after he lost those oracles. And behind it, already, a fleet beacon is on the way. The beacon is lit as he realizes that Sky Toss may be necessary as an entire contingent of Lurkers here. Oh, the Storms will soften them up, but they burrow down. Lurker range and speed burrow about to complete. He's now got those upgrades. Adrenal Gland, 7 Dropper Lords on the way. Does he have Overlord speed done? Of course he does. Warp Prism drops in some charge lots. Get off my creep! Warp Prism taken out by the Queens of the main army down the center, and the Lurkers completely out of position, doing damage on the other side. Storms on the ramp, caught between a rock and a hard place. The Lurkers trying to close in. Good spread by herO. Lurkers denying the center base. And Serral cleans things up back at home. And the Lurkers still doing damage on the opposite side. Those are going to be very hard to dislodge. Don't ask how they shoot their spines up to the high ground there. All right, ask how they shoot them through space on other maps. But a dozen drones dead. Serral plummets to a 5-worker lead. A Tempest is on the way out of herO. A Mothership, I think, will be next on the agenda, which has gone from a questionable decision to the center point of Protoss in general. It can no longer be abducted by Vipers. It has 4 different beams it can shoot out in all sorts of different directions. making it a legitimate damage-dealing option as opposed to before when it was worse than a car wash. So the mothership is a staple of Protoss in the late game at this point. But he's not quite there yet. He's building one Tempest at a time, which you need several of them to dislodge those lurkers reasonably. And Serral is maxed out. The counterattack damage was good, but wasn't good enough. herO must survive the swarm. And the next couple minutes are going to be very difficult. Serral has a massive drop to the south. Serral has lurkers over to the right, and he has a Hydroling force down the center. He's also attacking the third base as well. A four-pronged attack is closing in on herO, but so far he's cleaning up the lurkers over outside the lip of the base. Dropping into the natural, though, 6 more lurkers will show up and eviscerate the probes. 13 dead before herO can react. And the Hydras will lunge away. The Nexus itself is under attack. Charge lock counter. Going to be tough to deal with. Most of Serral's supply committed on the other side. He's bringing some Hydras back to defend. Tempest. The Nexus will go down. This will eventually get cleaned up by the Tempest. But for now, Serral has taken out a key base, whittled down the economy, but herO is bent, but not broken. He still has enough army to be incredibly dangerous to the Zerg. In fact, the army supply is almost dead even. Plus 3-2 on the ground in upgrades. The main army heading up to the north side again. Gonna work around the edge of that high ground location. Immortals joining up. How many Templar? Only 3 Templar on the ground. I think they got a couple storms apiece, and he's gonna need all of them. More Dropper Lords into the main. Zerglings overrunning. Mothership is on the way. Zealots warped in to defend. Working at least for now. herO just goes for the full-on counterattack. A bit of a desperation move, but he has some Templar to backstop back at home. And can Serral put together enough defenses to deal with this? Serral's actually pulling back with the lurkers. The Zerglings on the third base. Hatchery taken out down the center. Immortals bashing through some lone lurkers. Corruptors to take out the Observer, though. And that means there's no detection for the rest of the lurkers. A bit of a disastrous position for herO, but he's still in a decent supply count. 15 probes dead, but 111 army supply. Serral still has 82 drones, but the mothership is on the way. A hectic back and forth to start things off. And honestly, well, Serral's upgrades are quite mediocre. If herO's able to pick a straight-up fight, he likely will win it. But so far, Serral has successfully evaded him. But herO's at the closest to 200 supply he's pretty much ever been. He's about to have a mothership. Charge lots swinging in towards the north base. And Serral's running out of actual mining locations, even if not drones. 124 supply of Protoss is a dangerous amount. The Corruptors are no match for the Tempest. The Hatchery is no match for a whole bunch of Immortals, obviously. The Lurkers are gonna try to match with the cannons and whatever token defenses there are down the center. It looks like herO planning to collapse on this entirely. And the mothership! Is there any detection? Oh no! Serral, he can't see! And what he can't see, he can't kill. At least not easily. The Lurkers are being chased across the map. Serral in full retreat, routed by the mothership and the Tempest. And does he have an answer? The Corruptors in production. Lurkers up to the north side. Splits a few off. So far, mitigating the damage well. 7 Corruptors on the way. Plus 3 armor about to finish for especially those charge lots. The Lurker count is being whittled down. And GG! Serral just taps it out. The mothership seems to be a defining factor, as Serral was very invested in that mid-game army. He was very invested in killing herO before he got that death ball. He didn't go for the mass Broodlord sort of infester. He went for Lurker Hydra, which is strong, but it isn't an endgame composition. It's a late-game composition. So, the new mothership, even against Serral, looking like a very strong option. And herO, off to a 1-game lead. And to herO's credit, he handled a 4-pronged attack from Serral and did counter damage. There are some days where herO looks like a diamond player. But there are some days where he very much does not. And that is why he's still arguably the best Protoss player in the world. completely calm under... I don't think he ever maxed out, but he just prioritized the units he wanted and knew he could use well. Rebuilt the oracles near the end there. Very important part of things. We're going into Ultra Love, something that I don't think Serral will ever abide by. He went for the 15-15, but he built an Overlord before sending the drone down, which is the more economic option. But unfortunately, herO already has a probe across the map to block the base. And that means Serral will be taking his third instead of his Natchery. You need to have momentum as Zerg. Once the army, like once the Tempest count and the Mothership are on the field, Vipers are a risky option because you can't abduct the Mothership, so there's always going to be... You need something to kill the Mothership. And while I think it was always very silly to watch a flying city get yanked by one particularly strong straw, so far, most of the strategies about the Mothership in this matchup have involved either ignoring it and doing economic damage or killing them before they have one. So we'll see if Serral can... the Mothership also cannot be neural parasited. Very important to note. So both the Zerg spellcasters having a tough time. Well, I guess the Queens, as always. Maybe the best option. Always. You're goddamn right. And thank you, by the way, to LiuLiu Cup. If you're watching this in the first few days and not a year later wondering how I have 10 million subscribers, well, it's going on over the next couple weeks. So if you get the opportunity to tune in live, that would be amazing. Otherwise, thank you to Saber and his organization for putting on SC Boy as well, for bringing us these great games. Always appreciate it. And of course, sending out the games so you can always watch the highlights on channels you might enjoy or tolerate. Now, I'm very interested to see if he does the Stargate. Okay, Void Ray first. But the Void Ray getting an inordinate amount of damage. I think Serral has a Zerg. Usually send out one, maybe two Overlords. And then pull back if there's a threat to him. I think herO lulled Serral into a false sense of security by going Oracle into Void Ray. Because the Void Ray is mostly there in order to deny scouting and hide tech, and generally look suspicious. But by going for the Oracle, herO at least pretended like he wasn't doing some sort of sneaky build. And he wasn't. It was just a high-tech variation. Third base is on the way. One Overlord. Gonna get burnt out by the fancy charged up Void Ray. Cancels it to move back. Doesn't take long to take him down. He knows there's another Overlord back there. Interesting that he came... Well, here's the thing. If the Void Ray is revealed, then he pulls back with that Overlord. Like, this Overlord is a free kill. The one at the natural, that's going to die either way. Very unfortunate, but it already got its life insurance policy. So, the double gas will be spotted, which usually indicates blink and +1 as a follow-up. So that way you have enough gas to continue producing things like oracles, or just get your tech up while also expanding. Yeah, there's the blink. Oh, I'm sorry. Twilight doesn't always mean blink. Just about 85% of the time. And the other 15% it's charge and then blink. Or glaives and then blink, I guess. But eventually blink. Technically correct. The best kind. Well, automaton. How do they get a probe over here? Oracles. Great micro. One of them badly bruised, but 4 drones dead. And might be able to kill the drone. I don't think he noticed. Void Ray cleans up the stray Zerglings. And a lair's on the way. Blinking +1 out of herO. See if there's any sort of variations. So far, it's just 4 gates. So not mass production of blink stalkers, but just like an eyelash in your eye of them. As opposed to a whole pocket sand situation. Evolution chamber. Is that his second Evo? No, first Evo. So it seems like a similar situation, and I take it back immediately, as +1 melee is the choice. Serral's gonna go for Roach Zergling. Is there gonna be a Bane Nest, or is he just gonna spam it out? Serral subscribing to the idea of a really heavy mid-game timing. He's only at 65 drones right now, which is 3 base saturation and nothing more. Compare this with last game, where he shot up towards 80-something. But herO had enough time to build up his tech and eventually get enough to drive back that mid-game army. The intent here is to kill him as quickly as possible while still having a strong economy to produce units back at home. There's the infestation pit. We might even see swarm hosts as a follow-up. But the Roachling is clearly the choice. The Zergling's looking for a wraparound. Stasis in position. He actually spotted it with the Ling. Triggers it. Blink not quite done to chase these down, but he's buying a little bit of time. And herO's doing a proxy gate, proxy pylon blink pressure. Unfortunately for him, he's fighting fire with fire. He just doesn't know there's a fire yet. The Roaches and Lings, Serral taking down the rocks, not quite in time, but that could be a sticky point. A second proxy pylon, that is a lot of blink stalkers. I lied when I said it wasn't going to be a big blink pressure. He is committed, and his extra gateways are halfway across the map. The blink stalker's so deep onto the creep right now. And Zerglings will force them back. Not microing the Adepts. Doesn't get the drone kills. Stasis wards triggered. More stalkers will be warped in eventually. It's not quite a super pylon yet. We take down the rocks. At this stage, another infestation pit. Oh, he canceled the first one to just get a few more units out. And we are at the level where that truly matters. Takes down the rocks. And we'll block out the stalkers for a little while longer. Will he just take down the rocks with his stalkers, or does he go around? It's a matter of principle. Alright, so those few seconds of delay, will they be enough? That is so many stalkers. 24 of them. 2 oracles overhead. Forced to recall. Big chunk of stalkers alongside the oracles. And, oh, stop right there, criminal scum. Locks in the Zerglings. The Zerglings are like, I'll just go right back to the mineral line. Hold position to maximize the probe damage in this scenario. 11 kills, overruns the front line, and it appears that Serral's commitment to this very early aggression has paid off. He now, well, he still has to beat the stalkers on the field, but he's bought himself a little more space. He's now mining from his 4th base, which, even though he hasn't really added any drones, is going to make it slightly more efficient. Give him a bit more of an income lead. That infestation pit is in a precarious position, but he already has a hive on the way just in case. The Zerglings blunk on top. Serral continually underestimating the sheer level of commitment, but the Zerglings surround everything. He has to blink back yet again. Zerglings chasing down, trying to get a wraparound on those stalkers, locking them in. Forces a blink away with the corrosive bile, and Serral opens up a 30 supply lead. herO knows that his best defense now is a good offense. He doesn't have recall. A counterattack would be devastating. But if he manages to break... Did he rebuild more pylons on the map? It's like the AI. It's like, I just keep sending probes out to build proxy pylons. Of course you do. But here comes herO with quite a helping of blink stalkers, but the Ravagers spraying out the corrosive biles. A shotgun blast drives the stalkers away, and Serral is still progressing his upgrades. He's got +2 melee finishing up soon. herO does have +2 attack for the stalkers. Small Baneling counter as they waddle into the 3rd base, but is herO paying any attention? Absolutely not. It's a disaster. 13. What? And a Baneling lived. All right, solidarity. It's a disaster for herO. His economy is fumbling. His stalkers are not enough to break through. Serral is now going to have +2 melee. He's working on Adrenal Glands Baneling speed about to complete. And the stalkers are just not enough. The Zergling counter again. herO still has so many stalkers. It's a real threat. But the Ravagers, and clearly herO looking the other way for a moment. Corrosive Bow's a bit late. Serral clears out the third base. Do or die time for herO, and I think the second one is looking a bit more likely. Blugs forward. A bold move. The Banelings rolling in. The Queens are holding the line. And herO will not have enough. I keep saying that, but then it kind of looks close. The thing is, Serral just has the production. The Blink Stalker's still going forward. The Queen's eating the brunt of it now, but more Ravagers on the way. Oh my. I gotta stop calling, like, herO's Blink Stalkers. The Zerglings now covering for the front. He actually sent most of his Zerglings across, so when the Blink Stalkers can focus on the Ravagers, instead of having to deal with the Zerglings clawing at their ankles, it's a lot easier. But Adrenal Glands is now done. A couple Predator drones off the line. More Stalkers trickling in. But it's almost dried up at this point. A few Zealots. And Serral's supply is still questionable. But herO's is a bit more decisively low. More Stalkers. He blugs forward. The Corrosive Bows were just late. And herO gonna find some more. herO, he won't stop. The Ravager's getting chased. I think he's trying to bait him into a bad blank here, but honestly, a fadeaway shot killed the Ravager. And he refuses to die, but Serral, he pulled all the Queens off the line, so he has no larva really to rebuild, and that's why he has 1,500 minerals in the bank. The lack of production with those extra resources is starting to really hurt Serral here. But he does have the extra resources while herO is on life support at the moment. The Ravagers, he's killed 340 lings in 12 minutes. And now they have Adrenalings. At what point is it too much? 10 probes, Serral claws out a victory. It looked like a pretty decisive one, but herO dragged it out and almost turned it around with some of the best Blink Stalker micro. It's not so much like, you see the simple Blink micro of, oh, that Stalker's hurt, let me blink it back. It takes another sort of player to know when to blink forward, because that is a risky proposition in the best of times, but sometimes you just have to go forward. And herO, dangerously close, but not close enough. And now we're dead even. Game 3, ley lines. All tied up between the rank 1 Zerg and the arguably rank 1 Protoss. Of course, the argument is with Max Packs, but Max Packs has never faced Serral in a LAN tournament. Now, this isn't one, but I think some people use that as a qualifier. I do think herO still has the advantage in that killer instinct that Protosses usually require to be at the highest level. Like, Max Packs might have the technical knowledge and expertise, but herO is like a drunken brawler, okay? He doesn't feel pain, and sometimes he does something so crazy, you're scared to just even deal with him. So, just as Serral is going in and trying to lock him down, herO might come out with a broken bottle and, like, slice his own finger off and then use it to flip you off and keep you distracted while the Blink Stalkers get into your base. So, you always gotta keep an eye out for that. Because otherwise, blink and you'll miss it. Like and subscribe. Interesting, Serral going for the all-out 3-base timing. Or battling with the probe. That is a more typical response to Protoss nowadays. Making sure you just flood the field. That is when Zerg peaks. Ideally before they get Storm. because of energy recharge, allowing you to get 2 storms at once, right as the Templar warps in. Very effective against later game unit composition, especially counterattacks. So, the main weakness of Protoss in the new patch, without shield battery overcharge, is that early time. Is that vulnerability to overwhelming amounts of units before you have a strong response. I think herO is mitigating that with the sheer amount of Blink Stalkers. And in Game 1, he did it with Storm. But Serral able to overrun. If Serral had been going for his more 80 drone Hydra build, I think he may have died. Like, it just takes a little bit longer to come online. And herO was so close to just outright winning that it could have easily broken it. So Serral adapting. What will he do in Game 3? And also herO, there's a Stargate, of course. The characters remain the same, but the script might be different here. Void Ray or Oracle? Oracle first. Adept, continually shading in. Not a Stalker this time. That was crazy the first game. I know it doesn't seem like much, but there should not be a Stalker walking across the map trying to kill your overlords at like the 2-minute mark. That's not supposed to happen. That's not... That one isn't in the script. 2 Adepts. Enough Zerglings to zone him out. Still not trying any sort of crazy backstabs. He's... A second Oracle. Even more Oracles on the way this time around. Adepts keeping... So the Adepts are looking for an opportunity, maybe, to shade in, but it's mostly to force the Zerglings out. Occasionally, you'll actually complete the shade, but also keeping tabs on the drone count, where the queens are. There's really no risk until Zergling speed is done, and even after that, you can mitigate it with the existence of Oracles overhead. So... Two more gases at the natural. 4 minutes. Another high-tech opener. The Twilight and Forge should be starting in the main momentarily. Just the Twilight to start. Another Overlord. Oh, yeah. Well, when you don't have a Void Ray or any Stalkers, makes it a little easier to get an Overlord scouted. It's the Triumvirate of Oracles this time around. 3 Oracles. I think he's got 1 at home for defense. There's no Spore Crawler at the 3rd base, though, and the Oracles will give him the runaround for now. Zerglings looking for a surround. Will grab 1 Adept. Another one gets ripped apart. The Oracle will take a few Zerglings out in revenge, but... Oh, the Forge was at the natural. Recharges one of the Oracles. Twilight starts Blink, +1 ground weapons on the way as well. Serral with +1 melee. He's going to be headed towards a similar style. He just started the lair, though, which means something like Roach Speed is pretty far off. Actually, a Baneling Nest on the way. So, something a little bit different. Oracle's trying to come in. That Spore Crawler is an existential threat. And they just go hang out in the trees. Stay in the trees! Robo on the way quite early. I wonder if he wants to add in either a Prism or even just an Immortal push, as this is by far the earliest Robo we've seen. 4th base is on the way, lair. Still not done. Gateway's coming online. Oracle continues looking around. Gonna spot the 4th base time. Revelation comes out. Those Oracles, he could recall them. And evade Serral entirely. We'll see if he does. Ideally, you do it as soon as possible, so by the time you move out with the Stalkers, you have the Oracles with you. But he's just hanging out in the corner. Stalkers trundling up. Oracles. I guess they weren't that close to the edge. Working their way around towards the 4th base, and now Serral's gonna have his work cut out for him. 66 workers apiece. And now we execute mid-game 66, where both players are gonna be able to pump out the maximum amount of units with very limited ability to tech up, unless one of them suffers dramatic losses. So the Oracles covering with the stasis behind. The Zerglings trying to trigger it, catches a couple, a few more as well, but the Oracles have the energy. It looks like a few Banelings rambled into the base, kills 4 probes, herO replaces them. The 4th base is under fire, and
Susan, you're in front! I was in front last time, why can't Karen be in front? Karen's dead, Susan. Good! Susan, don't say it out loud.
sorry. The Oracles continue to cover. The stasis wards all over the place, buying out the entire shop of those wards. And now a Colossus is on the way as well, as he wants to deal with this head on. Extended thermal lance is in production. He realizes Hydras are on the way. He's skipping the Roach phase, is Serral. That 4th base taking a lot of hits. The Zerglings coming out of stasis, but the 4th hatchery is taken down. Another stasis, but enough Zerglings are slipping through. One of the Oracles slaps a Revelation. No Hydra speed. They just finished range, so... And a hive begins. But herO this time is focused on the next level of mid-game tech. He's got a Colossus stepping across the field to complement the Blank Stalkers. And until Serral finishes a hive, either for Vipers or for Lurkers, he is immensely vulnerable to exactly this composition. So the Blank Stalker count, he's got 21 of them. Serral 69 drones, which is a nice enough economy, but his army supply is pretty lackluster, especially considering how specialized the Colossi are in dealing with exactly this. Big counterattack. The alternative 4th base now being hit by the Stalkers, and Serral not in position to defend. The Hydra's moving around. The Zerglings looking for a counter. Stasis catches a chunk of Lings, creating something of a force field. Multiple cannons. He might be able to just get the robotics facility, but there are already a couple Colossi with the army. So, and the 3rd base is on the... He's just going for it. He just snipes the hatchery. Serral is not allowed to have a base here at all. That 4th base is also vulnerable. Zerglings come out of stasis. Serral's income is plummeting. He has nowhere to mine from. Another hatchery falls. 3 Vipers are on the way as Serral tries to prioritize getting enough of the right units out in time instead of fighting into the ones that already counter his. But another stasis catches some of the Zerglings. I don't think he blocks forward for the Colossi to cover. And the Hydras are boxed in by the Queens. The Queens incinerated by the Colossi. The Stalkers picking up... That's it. A decisive 2-1 victory. herO defeats the rank 1 Zerg player in the world. And honestly, it felt like Serral was grasping at straws throughout. Game 1, it was a tough fight, but herO held his own and built the right army composition. Game 2... could have flipped either way on a Blink Stalker choice, though Serral had the answer. Game 3, Serral tried to do a more late-game composition, and herO found his timing and cut right through it. So, herO getting the better of Serral on this new patch, and decisively so, bringing us to our bonus game of Rogue versus GuMiho, our anti-spoiler bonus, so that way you didn't know that game was going to end in just a few minutes. And keeps you guessing. As honestly, if Serral had been able to get his hive out maybe 30 seconds quicker, gets Vipers online, but herO adapted as well. He had the units in the right spot at the very right time. He built cannons back at home. He's willing to build cannons. A lot of players are a bit stingy with the cannons. But herO knows the Zerglings will get in. Now, sometimes the Zerglings get in because herO was a little lazy on walling off. But that's not the point. The point is, he shores up his weaknesses and plays to his strengths. And that Blink Stalker, Colossus micro, and just, honestly, Blink Stalkers in general, clearly very strong. Now, we've seen GuMiho versus Rogue a couple times lately, and it's been some of the most hectic Terran versus Zerg, because GuMiho just doesn't like ghosts. You know what? I love him for it, as GuMiho has decided that ghosts are boring and too hard to use or annoying, or so instead of ghosts, we see mech and battlecruisers and ravens. I don't think anybody's going to complain about that, and if they do, they can shh. Well, honestly, herO looked like the better player today. It is an interesting time for Zergs, kind of trying to figure out the new mid-game, with Queens costing a bit more. and the mothership kind of being a timer on things. Now, I think another key part was both players were playing the last game. Serral did a great build against herO's mass blink stalker play. But he did not do a great build against someone who was already moving to Colossi, even as he was pressuring with the blink stalkers. So herO had the initiative. I think winning game 1 gave him that advantage, because then Serral had to play catch up the whole time. But he ended up getting turned into mustard. Please clap and like and subscribe. GuMiho. That's all I have to say about that. What is this? He's building Did he not build a Reaper? No Reaper. Couple Marines at a time off the reactor. And just no interest. He is by far the most creative Terran. Like, some other Terrans will try a couple little variations, but as I mentioned, GuMiho, like, if you're trying a new flavor of things, GuMiho's just come up with an entirely new drink. So, he's hunting for overlords. He has to know the Ovi's there. Will he lift the command center is the question to kill that Ovi. I don't believe so. Maybe the barracks. But kind of zoning out. The barracks lord. Or not, I guess. He's just walking across. Interesting, he just decided, you know what, actually, never mind. That's not usually something you do at this stage of the game. I don't think there was any prompting either. Hellions come out. The Zergling will see the most standard early game, besides the Marines, of course, but he confirms there's going to be Hellions, which was not a guarantee with this many Marines to start. Rogue has his Overlords in a good spot. And the Marine... What is this? Okay, so the Marines will just die. And the Queens...
This is a message from the Hatchery Owners Association, the HOA. This is private property, and you shall not pass. Brenda, I think that's copyright infringement. And I'm pretty sure it's you will not pass. Either... No, that's definitely wrong. But they were all of them to see... Okay, now it's time to stop. We can't just...
Apologies. I blacked out for a moment. The Zerglings may cancel the third command center because there's nothing behind the wall. Another SCV is lined up to continue building it, but he doesn't actually do so. Is forced to cancel. So GuMiho just kind of... Oh, that's... Just because it's creative doesn't necessarily mean it's good. All right? To be clear. As he just kind of loses... like... He loses the third command center. He lost some SCVs. He was able to cancel the command center, but that's quite a delay. There's a Raven on the way behind this. The creep tumors are going to be cleaned up. Roach 1 for Rogue. But... it's back. GuMiho slaps down 2 more factories, which again, I'm not entirely convinced he intended this at the start of the game, though he's always looking for an opportunity. The most consistent mech Terran in the history of StarCraft 2, even when mech seemed a completely unviable composition, GuMiho has made it work, and it's far from that nowadays. Rogue with the Queen contingent gathering. The Raven. Why need a scan when you could just build a Raven? It's one of those matter of principle things. Other Terrans are like, I would rather sacrifice my firstborn and cut off my left pinky than build a Raven for detection. But, not all Terrans, obviously. Magfield Accelerator on the way. That 50% more damage on the Cyclone lock-on. Can be devastating when used effectively, but the Cyclones are glass cannons. Thankfully, they move very fast for cannons, so they can avoid most non-Zergling roach things. Unfortunately for him, Speedling's already on the field, and roaches with speed are in production. So GuMiho going to have to keep the pressure on while Rogue's economy continues to grow, his production continues to grow. We see anti-armor on the Queens, or is he's going to try to block them in with the auto turrets. Now, the Queens will kill the Raven, but what will it cost? 1 Queen, 2 Hellbats. It doesn't quite get the Overlord, but the Hellbats are just burninating through the countryside. Another Queen dead, and they're just walking up. He doesn't care. Through the fire and the flames, Rogue will have to carry on, but for now, he's on the run. Well, I mean, you don't have to run very fast to get away from Hellbats, but they're surprisingly tanky. Zergling counterattack. He gets in because the door's just wide open. A classic mistake. 5 SCVs dead, so I think all that damage that GuMiho did kind of counterbalanced by a dozen Zerglings. He killed 5 Queens, but total he's killed 3 drones. So for the price of 11 Hellbats or 14 Hellion Hellbats, they're actually split on the thing. Honestly, not very much damage. And now there's a Nidus on the way. 4 Cyclones. Magfield has now done 6 Swarm Hosts in production. As Rogue will attempt to break this with Nidus Swarm Hosts, and that very well could be the call. 11 Swarm Hosts. Sir Richard and his band of brethren. God, those Cyclones do a lot of damage. Oh my. They're really just murdering it. Vehicle plating level 1 completed. Plating upgrades are by far priority for this sort of composition because the mag field and the Cyclone lock-on is spell damage. And usually Hellbats and Hellions are not really focused on weapons, especially once they get blue flame. It's more a base level of damage. So by far the priority. Also, the plating upgrades apply to air units, whereas weapons are split. The Nidus. See if GuMiho has his surround sound on, because you can definitely hear which angle it comes from. Doesn't seem to care, just going forward. The best defense, sometimes a good offense. In fact, most of the time against Swarm Hosts. The Locusts drop into the natural. The orbital commit. GuMiho, no! Gumi, no! He loses his orbital. Oh, they do damage very quick, but still. Wow, that is a devastating loss. That is a significant portion. He kept his SCVs alive. He has another base on the way. He's going to go hunt down. Oh, but that was significantly bad. The Mass Factory is still online. Rogue just opened up a massive income lead off the back of, well, destroying one of GuMiho's 3 mining bases. He's now got another one up, so that should be shored up pretty significantly, but the Locust, again, that's quite a long ways. I don't even know if they can... I think they'll barely get to the 3rd, and even if they land for a couple seconds, they can still slaughter a dozen SCVs, so... Yeah, they got plenty of time. But he's preemptively evacuating. Gonna get several SCVs, but the Cyclones are still going to work. Just right-clicking on the base. You have to lock on manually if you're interested, but... Ravagers. Anti-armor missile does not help the lock-on do more damage, much like weapon upgrades do not. A single Cyclone almost kills off one of the Swarm Hosts. Back into the Nidus. He's gonna chase down the Nidus here in the center and open up the rocks. Rogue is on his side of the map. Cyclone's taking down another Nidus. Cyclone's hunting on patrol now for this. GuMiho's army supply still looking pretty good. Nidus comes off to the right flank. GuMiho, though, responding to the left. That's still a long way out for the Swarm Host. They have to get a bit closer, but here come the Hell Clones. Oh, and they're pretty far from the nut. Well, they get back in. Locust will box out for now. Also microing to the left side. Locks onto some of the roaches. Anti-armor missile. Just generally helping out, but the lock-ons are most of the damage. Slaps down a turret. Cyclones collapse. And will cut through the Roach Ravager. The Locust time out over to the right flank. The Ravagers are all taken out with ease. So Rogue is in an awkward position as He doesn't have a hive. He doesn't have infestors. He's just rebuilding the same things while still trying to work the swarm hosts. But the swarm hosts were left out. That cyclone got a little distracted by the juicy, juicy rocks, but... Oh, no. Wait a second. The cyclones are really starting to pay off now. Rogue dropping heavily in supply. And remember, much of it is in swarm hosts, which have had some success. Just a G, it just ends. Just a singular G, and we're gone. G for gone. I don't know which game of the series this was, but Rogue, I don't think super hyped about it. Tapping out against the immensely cost-effective unit composition. GuMiho's ability to just bounce back from what should be devastating economic loss. He knows the strength of Hell clones is in maintaining that unit composition and staying on the map. Even if he loses a base to Swarmhouse, as long as he keeps his army together, he still has the initiative, with some of the hardest to track down units in the game. So, a tough day for the Zergs, but I think good games. Overall, hopefully you agree. Thank you to the LiuLiu Cup for putting on such a great tournament. Make sure to check them out if you got the opportunity. And if you got the means and motivation, it'd be awesome to check out Patreon. Thank you to our mules for bringing in the minerals, Big Jiggy, Dorke, Mario N, and everyone else. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. So thank you for watching. Hopefully, it made your day just a little bit better. And I'll see you next time. Good luck, have fun. Stay chill.